my name is Brian. I am a competitive Splatoon player, and well, primarily, but I should probably mention as well, since it's more relevant for today, that I also do what we call overfishing, which is Salmon Run, except we try to get as many eggs as possible, basically.
Yeah, so Brian is what many people would describe an expert in Salmon Run. So basically the goal of today is we're going to go over this in 2 segments. We're going to be talking about 1, everything that they've shown off in the new trailer and Brian's thoughts on it. And then secondly, we'll talk about brand new, maybe more drastic additions, things like customization or an endless mode. So we'll get to that, but for now we're just going to start with a lot of the basic new information. So first up, what about the new map? What are your thoughts on it so far? Does it look better than the previous ones? Is it hard to tell?
Ooh, yeah. So far, it's interesting. So they do seem to be taking a different approach to some degree. Because what they do a lot in Splatoon 2 right now is that a lot of the maps, they have kind of like 3 lines. Just the way that they design the maps right now in Splatoon 2 is fine, except for the fact where it can happen that one single far spawn happens, which is like, it just takes like 10 seconds to swim there, and you just take 10 seconds to swim back.
I noticed that. I think mainly the first map is probably a good example of it, because it's very clearly cut into like 3 sections splitting away from mid, and the spawns happen on those sides. So it's like, yeah, I can see that. But
yeah, exactly.
Do the spawns seem to be more like coming from everywhere now, or is it still like some condensed locations?
Yeah, for the new map that I've seen, it seems much more confined. Like, first of all, like 1 section of the map is already cut off, and the furthest part on the map is a lot closer, which I gotta say I really like, because there's one map in particular in Splatoon 2, which is Smokeyard, which kind of has that design already, and it's by far the most consistent map because of that. So I like that they seem to be taking a new direction where they stop having just like 3 like lines going everywhere, and then looking to be much more confined, which makes it more chaotic as well, I guess. But yeah, they're just saying like it's a much more like better for avoiding the RNG involved in this mode.
Yeah, I think it looks better too, like them coming from more places or it being more at once. Like, it definitely feels more like you're being swarmed. Sometimes I think it feels like it's kind of linear, so I like that too.
Yeah, exactly. And the map that we've seen, I'm very certain that it's only normal tide, because there's like some random ramp on the map that has no use on the trailer, and I'm pretty sure that one is intended to be for high tide spawns. So it's going to be even more claustrophobic when high tide is probably going to be a thing, which I really like. So I'm really curious.
So, of course, there's the new mechanic that everyone is incredibly happy with, which is egg throwing.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that's gonna be it's a big one. Where do I start? Like, it's already, I should mention, like the way that it combines with current strategies is very interesting, because in Salmon Run there's something we call splits, which it's very simple. Like, for example, let's say you have like 1 scrapper and 1 stingray spawning. Obviously, you want to have like 3 people go for the stingray and 1 have the scrapper take the basket. So that's what we call splits. But with egg throwing, that kind of mixes things up a bit, because instead of like having 3 people go to like a stinger for all the eggs, you can just have 1 person go there and have all the eggs being thrown. However, I feel it's going to be much more nuanced than that, because it still isn't optimal to just send 1 player there to destroy all the eggs, because it's going to take like massive ink, and it's going to be even slower still than just having 3 people there. But for example, let's imagine you have, let's say, like a 2v2 split. Like, all of a sudden you can do stuff like, instead of having 1 player go back and forth tries, you can just like have 1 guy just throw the egg. So it's going to be very interesting, like how it mixes with splits and stuff like that, because it's very detailed the way I see it right now.
I mean, to me, it looks like there's just a lot more, I guess, just options for people who have to like recall eggs. It doesn't really have to be, like, you can definitely coordinate it a lot more. To me, it seems like there's a lot more ways to optimize how you get eggs through the basket, and I think that's like interesting for a lot of people. All right, though, I guess moving on from the egg stuff, something I didn't talk about in my analysis that I probably should is, it seems like technically there could be a Salmon Run spectator mode. So I mean, obviously I'm assuming this would be a good idea, but would you really want to see that, or what would you want to see from a Salmon spectator?
Yes, of course. I gotta say something funny, actually, because I remember watching the trailer, and one thing I do a lot for some videos is using the spectator to get some like sneaky shots from moving to players 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And it looks very, the motion that you get in the PvP spectator looks very similar to the motion you see in the trailer. So it might just be an editing trick, but I'm not sure, because it looks very similar.
Yeah, I agree. Like the main one, just the egg toss thing they do at the end looks just like switching between players. Ever since I've been doing more commentating, I've gotten more used to how that looks, and yeah, it is
Exactly.
incredibly similar. Would spectating Salmon Run come with like major benefits, do you think, for people learning the mode? Like maybe you, instead of just having your POV on like obviously one of your big coordinated sessions with 4 people talking, maybe like an overhead or switching to specific players could help people, learn the mode more or give just a better way to spectate. Like if we want to do a Salmon Run specific event, that could be casted with its normal spectator mode. So I think it gives the mode a lot of more appeal for people who want to learn it or broadcast it.
Yeah, for sure. Like we already saw like the change it made in Splatoon 1 where we used to have just tournaments where people would just use the stream of someone else.
Oh yeah, Splatoon tournaments were absolute hell to
yeah.
cast.
And obviously like not even talking about analyzing, because we do like analyze quite often, and doing it from a single point of view is just so much worse compared to having an overhead. And I would say particularly in Salmon Run, in the fact that like awareness is a very big deal in Salmon Run, because like you have tens like of bosses like everywhere around the map. So awareness is a very big deal. So if you're only limited to just the single point of view that you have available to you, that it's very hard to like both help players improve, like make them see like what's going on, and just in general like coming up with new strategies. So yeah, spectator, I'm definitely looking forward to that if that's a thing.
Okay, so we haven't seen anything really from the Night Waves, or at least so we thought. You noticed a few things that you probably want to point out.
Yeah. We did notice on the map preview, you can see so far gushers, like the gushers where they usually come from, and cannons. Like there are specific spots on the map where like people probably notice where gushers, where the goldie can come out, or where a cannon spawns. And we did see those on the map, but unfortunately that is it in terms of like Night Wave.
Yeah, so it looks like some of the Night Waves are definitely coming back, but we haven't seen all of them quite yet, so I guess we'll have to wait for that. So there's the new bosses. I, of course, am a fan, because, one's like Splat Zones and one's like Tower Control a little bit. But I mean, what do you think of them? Do you think they're harder, easier? Do you like how they look? Just general thoughts on those 2 new bosses.
First thing I guess I should mention is that I like the new approach they're taking, because a lot of bosses, it's kind of just shoot and kill, maybe shoot in the back or something and kill. Like it's very simple. But these are slightly different. Like what is it called? Like the flip flop or something.
Yeah.
You have to like paint the zone, which is like painting has never been something that you could use to like beat a boss. Which is, I like to see that they're trying to take new approaches, because especially in Salmon Run, like a very big thing is DPS, the damage you can do per second, and largely because you just almost every single boss you have to kill is you just have to shoot to kill it. But this gives a reason for like just heavy paint weapons to also just be more useful.
Yeah, that could help with variety. I haven't seen too much Salmon Run tier list, but I have noticed it tends to be like damage per second and mobility are probably like 2 of the main factors that I've seen be ranked high.
But I like that they're trying to like do new stuff, and same with the fish stick. Like, first of all, amazing name. I don't know what to say.
I love the name of the fish stick. It's great.
It is interesting in the fact that it's a static boss, like it doesn't move, which like static bosses in Salmon Run are interesting because they change up the. Because if everything was like movable, you could just like stay basket the entire game. So having static bosses are good. But this one seems more interesting because it's like usually with flyfish and stingers, they are basically limited to being at the shore, and I think the fish stick seems to be able to spawn this wherever it wants to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if there's a way to lure it, because it could be really useful, but at the same time, if it only spawns really far away, it could be an absolute time crunch to be able to take it down.
Yeah, exactly. And similar to the flip of flopper, it's also more focused around like paint as well. Like it's trying to prevent you from just having paint around where the fish stick lands. Which I like seeing that they're trying to change things up.
I guess the only other thing to bring up is what do you think of the Godzilla thing? Do you think it'll be like, I've heard some people think like it'll be the only boss in a wave. I guess kind of like Grillers, but only one boss. Like it'll be a super boss thing. Like you'll have an entire wave centered around dealing with it. Or some people saying it'll connect to the story. Do you have any hopes or expectations, or are you just entirely just want to wait and see with I have no idea what's going to happen. I'll go with whatever they do.
I guess I'll go with the last one because it's hard to say what to expect. Because it will be different than night waves, because like night waves are their own thing. Like you can see that they already exist on the map too, so I'm assuming that it's a separate thing. But what exactly it is, it's hard to say. But I'm definitely curious, like what it is.
Yeah, I really hope it's like a special. If it is like in the base salmon, I hope it's like its own wave thing. But I feel like it might be even more than that. But you know, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all the things that we basically saw in the new Salmon Run trailer. So a lot of stuff confirmed. The mode seems to be going through some interesting changes. But, you know, they could always do more than that. And the biggest thing for me, as someone who got a bit bored and stale of Salmon Run quickly, is customization. I would love to be able to pick the maps you do, the difficulty, maybe customizing the waves, the specials you get. And a lot of that is a thing on land mode only. So it's somewhat there. Do you think Salmon Run should have more customization options, and would you like to see some of that?
Yeah, for sure. Like you already mentioned, the fact that this already exists in show and it's not like online it's kind of painful already in the first place. And like for example, you can do it in like PvP where you can just like go to weekend in any mode and just like walk around and do stuff. But in Salmon Run, it could be even more useful in the fact that you can just like let's say you want to practice grillers, and if you want to do that in Salmon Run, it's I don't know the number, but I think it's like a 1% chance that you get grillers in the first place, and you have to like play hundreds of games probably just to get one.
Yeah, there's
and being
no way
able to
just
yeah, exactly. And if you could just pick both the wave type or just map that you want to practice on, it would make it so much easier to both like just do the things you want to do, and in general just like getting better as well.
So I mean, yeah, you're just full on. Give us weapon choices, give us special choices, give us maps, give us everything customization wise, as much as we can get.
Yeah, exactly. Like in ISO, in Soul, you even have the option to replay wave, and if you do that, then it uses the exact same seed that you were playing before with, which is very interesting.
Oh, that's cool. So you can literally just have a duplicate wave happen in a game.
Yeah, exactly. Like the shoal is surprisingly very useful for practice for Salmon Run, and it doesn't exist in online, so it is there, but just make it available, I guess.
They just gotta make it actually something you can use without having to be in a room with like 3 other people. Wow, 4 other people. Good job. So I actually forgot to bring this up. Grisco weapons. Do you want to see any more or any changes on the Grisco weapons?
I would love to see them back for sure, first of all. I do hope they bring back Grisco Slusher. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's a very tactical weapon, so I agree it's not easy to use. All right, good. That's what I like to hear. But because the Grisco Slusher, it's very cool in the sense that you can basically just ignore cycles. Like you can just shoot through even a steelhead and just kill it whenever you want to. So it would be great to see that back. But even more so, I would love to see like different Grisco versions of other weapons. Like just imagine like a Grisco roller or a Grisco bow even.
Oh yeah, I hope we get like at least one for every weapon class. Also, I don't know if this is like a salmon thing, but like I hate the Grisco umbrella. It's not umbrella. Like, can we get that changed, please?
Yeah, funny thing. Grisco umbrella is worse than the majority. Well, maybe not majority, but it's by far not the best weapon in Salmon Run, even if you're considering normal weapons.
Oh wow, so it's not even that good.
Like, yeah, you could just take a sploosh, for example, and it's gonna be way better than umbrella.
Wow.
So the fact that you're just like Grisco umbrella, it's completely justified. Don't worry.
I mean, I think they should just give it like a tent shield that you can just launch every like 5 seconds or something. I don't know, that could be fun.
Sure.
Like just give it something. Oh, and I guess I have one more question, because I just noticed this from watching your VOD. You get super bonuses a ton in Max Hazard. Do you ever struggle at making gear, or does this mode basically just do it for you?
No, I gotta say, the fact that I'm doing both Salmon Run and PvP, like, it's a perfect combo, because I can literally just like make any gear I want straight away, because I have like hundreds of chunks, like 600, 800.
You're hearing it. Well, you heard it here. If you want to make gear sets for free, become a pro at Salmon Run, and you'll get all the ability chunks you want. It's the one way
I remember
to do it.
even like subbing in for a tournament at some point, and I was like playing with someone who was already like doing anchor, and I was like, I don't know, playing some Zap or something, and I was like, oh, let me just make some gear real quick. Easy.
Yeah, that must be awesome. All right, though, any like closing thoughts on anything we've talked about or anything you want to add just to kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, don't throw your golden eggs in the water.
Yeah, I very much hope they have a feature to prevent that. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me here, Brian. Whether you guys are watching on Twitch or YouTube, you could find his links in the description, or he'll plug them in the Twitch chat real quick. He uploads YouTube content. He's actually, I think you're like 100 away from 15,000 subs, so you better be pushed over that edge pretty soon. You guys need to go sub to Brian. He's an insane player, insane Salmon Run. Just like, he's a good dude. You can find him on Twitter and on Twitch as well. So, again, I'll take care of all those links, and I'll make this shorter because I talked for too long about this. But, thanks for watching, everyone.